Are you ready to do 3 P's in your garden? That's right. Protection, planting, and production. Right here on the Backyard Gardens podcast, Minsode.
To have a good harvest, one must plant good seeds and must also use the right kind of fertilizer. The carrots have grown large and firm. How good they will taste.
Welcome to the Backyard Gardens podcast, where we talk about all things gardening and give the information out for you to be successful in your garden, whether it's your first or your last. We are your hosts, Ben, the backyard gardener, and
Batavia, the front yard gardener.
one in the country,
One in the city.
Now get ready as we dig deep into this wonderful world of gardening, as we learn to grow and grow for change. As everybody is going to see now that we are knee deep in spring. Mm-hmm. These mini-sodes are going to get a little bit more action-packed. So you guys are getting a little honey-do list that's going to be a little bit longer.
So if everything goes according to plans, the beaches have even opened up here in Chicago. So that's something. That's how you know.
What beach?
The Chicago beaches. There are beaches all over.
I've never been to Chicago.
Well,
I've been to the airport.
Yeah. There's no beach out there.
No.
So.
No. So
the beach associated with Lake Michigan. Does that make you feel better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, I actually dove in Lake Michigan once. It was cold as hell.
Yeah. Typically it is.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about protection, which is adding mulch, planting, which is succession planting, my favorite, and production, which is fertilizing. So we should be doing just about all these things right now, and it kind of all falls right in at the same time, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and I think it's easy to kind of be coming off of the high of, for a lot of us planting our summer vegetables already and, kind of just admiring our work, but we can't forget some of these important pieces. Pieces as in peas.
Oh,
did you see that?
Now we got 4 peas. How many peas can we get? So in the order that I would put it is I would succession plant again. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about, maybe you want to put in some more green beans. You probably already started some bush bean varieties. So you could do that.
Yeah.
Maybe cucumbers at this point. You could do a little bit more of that. What else can you succession plant? Or would you succession plant? Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I think I'd probably go with another round of flowers, drop some seeds in, because now I have a better view of, kind of what spaces I've taken up with some of my veggie plants. I'd do, and I hope I get to do this, like another round of basil, even starting that indoors. I know it seems kind of late. You could direct sow that too if you wanted.
Yeah.
For me in my area, I may try to squeeze in like some cilantro. We know we've talked a lot about that really being a cool weather, but I may try to squeeze that in, and see what I get.
Yeah. And for what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to hold back on some of my tomatoes. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually, because at this point when this airs, my tomatoes will have been out for 6 weeks. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I will now be putting in another tomato, fresh, dressed like $1,000,000. It's going to be, so I'll start it inside and then it'll have 6 weeks to do in my house, and then I'll take it out. Yeah. And that way I can just kind of further that along. And I also do that as an insurance policy. So,
depending on what my weather really is going to be around this time, so how hot it's gotten, I may be at the point where I want to run another couple of, melon seeds, my favorite mango hybrid, because I got them a lot of them at the same time last year. So I definitely needed to space that out.
Yeah. So you can do that too. And then the whole idea is that you're just kind of furthering your harvest. So you're not getting a whole bunch at once. You're kind of spacing it out. Mm-hmm. So that's the benefit of that. Yeah. And then we're going to enhance the production. Yes.
Before we enhance production, I'm going to run one more round of the heat tolerant lettuce. Oh, yeah.
Solid.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, which, by the way, I just put my heat tolerant lettuce out. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think that it's going to give me about, from the point of this airing, around 6 or 7 weeks, maybe, to get some solid lettuce out before, even that heat tolerant stuff is going to bolt.
Yeah.
So
we're going to enhance production by adding fertilizer at this point. Batavia's not a big fertilizer user, are you?
I wish I never had to do it.
Yeah. So we both used Neptune's Harvest. We used the Blue Label fish seaweed formula, and that should be used. I use it every week or two. And there was actually just a study that came out of North Carolina State University Agricultural, whatever, their area, and they used it every day and had,
really,
or at 3 times a week, and that was a not specifically Neptune's Harvest, but it was a fish seaweed fertilizer.
Interesting.
And they had great results with, because it's not very strong.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. It's not this chemical that you can worry about overpowering,
right,
your vegetables and your plants. I don't know. We'll see. I try to stay on a schedule of like the 1st and the 15th, or the 1st and the 14th, like something I can remember that resonates with me for, it being every 2 weeks. So today would be June 1st, right? So that's a great time to get out and fertilize, then come back around on the 14th or 15th, whatever floats your boat.
Now, this is just for the Neptune's Harvest.
Yeah, good point about it being, about 2 weeks, where there's some things that you're going to use to fertilize. In this case, in this example, more often, but in a lot of cases, less frequently.
So now at this time, I am going to, since we're adding our mulch, which is what we're going to talk about next, this is a great time to add your granular fertilizer, any kind of organic fertilizer that needs to decompose before it feeds your plants. So if you were good little boys and girls and you listened to the podcast where we told you to give your garden a dusting in the winter, now is time to refresh, because if you plant it in the spring, things feed heavy in the spring.
Yeah.
They're heavy feeders. So we want to replenish and give everything else another boost. So I'm personally going to be using an equal fertilizer, meaning it's a 10-10-10. Actually, I believe mine's a 12-10-10, but it's not a big deal. It's got a little bit more nitrogen.
Is that even with your soil test results from last year?
I'm going just to do across the board. So what I'm also going to do, though, because of my soil test, is I'm going to give it a little bit of blood meal. Unfortunately, I'm going to use blood meal. When this bag's gone, I'll be using alfalfa meal.
Okay.
We talked about that previously. But and then also I will be using like maybe a potash or something like that. So and that's just based on my my soil test results, but generally speaking, just a balanced fertilizer. And a lot of people still use like the bone meal or the blood meal or something like that, and you put it in there because it takes time to break down.
Yeah, I like the idea of mixing the idea of mixing that fertilizer with what I'm planting. So something that is more slow release. I like that idea. I'm not saying that I'm going to sign up to do it, but kind of set it and it's done.
Well, something I've started doing too is I've started putting a mixture in the hole when I plant. So I'll put in the fertilizer in the bottom, then I'll put a little handful of compost on top, then I put the plant in, and I'm just going to see how that works out too.
Okay.
You're not going to over fertilize if you put a teaspoon in. You know what I mean? But it's just readily available. But so you want to give if you're going from a spring harvest to a summer harvest, then you're going to want to feed.
Yeah. Or if this is your first time out this year for your garden, right? Yeah. You want to give those plants, a good head start. So.
Yep. And that's why we use the Neptune's Harvest with the granular, because a Neptune's Harvest feeds right away. As soon as it hits it, it feeds. Versus the granular takes 2 weeks.
It eats it up, right? Neptune's Harvest eats it up immediately. Where it's like, what's the your appendix? Where do you store food in your body? Which one is that? Long term storage?
I store food in my belly. If you can't tell.
I do like the idea of talking about different options, because a lot of this is, there's obviously cost associated with it, but it's also style, like your garden style, So fertilizing is something that, in the kind of slow release is really good if you don't want kind of that additional maintenance. It will get you through the season, where if you do want to be a bit more attentive, something that's, fast acting like what you and I use is a good deal.
Well, yeah, it's a little bit more, but I mean, if you use like a straight synthetic fertilizer, then, there's going to be, it feeds instantly and it feeds strong instantly, and that's tough. So, and I just don't feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
But we do this because we are at this point, now that we've done those two things, then we're going to put the protection down, and that's the mulch. So
my favorite.
The mulch, yeah. And the mulch is a key ingredient. Now, I know that I've said in the past, like, I don't use mulch. I've never used mulch. And I have and I haven't. Like, I go back and forth, and I can tell you that, like, I don't like wood mulch. I know this is the first time you guys have been hearing this, so, I know it's groundbreaking. I don't like wood mulch. But, leaves, straw, anything like that.
Yeah.
Don't go to your garden center and ask for hay. They'll laugh at you, even though you really do mean straw. Straw doesn't have the seeds in it.
But this is important now because we just did a round of, succession planting. Some of that includes direct sowing, right? It's warming up, right? We are probably starting to water a bit more, right? So we want to retain that moisture by adding that protection. You're going to start to see, you've already seen them, but they're going to come out like gangbusters. You're going to start to see more weeds pop up. And so a good layer, 2 to 4 inches of mulch will help combat that, fight back against those weeds. So it's time now. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You can do it tomorrow if you want to as well. You don't have to do it like right this moment.
No. And actually, it's better off if you go ahead and put the fertilizer down direct sow, put in your succession plantings, whatever, and let them sit for a couple days, especially the direct sowing. Everything that we're direct sowing now should be fairly quick to pop, right? So, and make a ring around the plant. You don't want it touching the base of the plant. That's the key. So that's why I wait till now, because everything's got a little size to it.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of get around it.
And even if you're direct sowing, so imagine where that plant is, just make a little ring around that space you direct sowed. For me, I've been moving back that mulch. So, what you're going to listen to this on a Tuesday. If you decide to go out and do, the first half of these things now, then you can get to the weekend. By that time, you're going to see some of that stuff pop up.
Yeah, I mean, I did zucchini last year. In 24 hours, it was up.
Yeah, it's crazy. I love it.
It was crazy. Yeah. So, but yeah, you want to make sure you do that. And so the other benefit of it too is the mulch, as it breaks down over the year, it will continue to turn into compost inside of your garden. So that's, and if you do lasagna gardening like I do, then you're just piling on top. They're good to go. And that moisture from that mulch being on top of the fertilizer will help it break down better. So you will get a better feed. Good point.
Hey, don't get out of here without another bale.
2-in-1 Minsode? No, sir.
Don't get used to it.
I won't.
That's to them, that's to them, not you.
Oh, okay.
We don't know if we can produce at this level.
So, yeah, I think, the 3 Ps.
There it is.
Are you going to do it?
Absolutely. Okay. I plan to do it. So you see what I did there? You saw that? Yeah.
5 Ps. There we go. All right, everybody. We are coming up on 15 minutes fast, so say it.
See ya.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you want to see what we're up to, or just stay up to date on all the announcements regarding the show or anything gardening, then you can follow us on Instagram at Backyard Gardens TV.
We love seeing what you guys are doing, so use hashtag BYG Podcast in your posts, and we'll be sharing your gardens with the Backyard Gardens community.
And check us out on YouTube at Backyard Gardens, where we will post this show, all of our other shows, clips, and then also some gardening tips and just gardening entertainment. And you can see us at our website at backyardgardenstv.com. But that's it for today's show. So help us as we learn to grow and grow for change. And until next time, we'll catch you guys later. We'll call this one a wrap.
Now you know why people feel like celebrating at harvest time.
All over the world, people have feasting and good times when the crops have been gathered in.